Alright, so for lining, this leather is going to be really terrible. So what we're going to have to do is reinforce it. So I've got this, this is honestly a bit of material that I have left over from my days in the factory. It's been sitting in a box for like 30 years, and it's a terrible and cheap and nasty material, but it's gonna work really well as just an eyelet reinforcement, really. And it doesn't have to be a wonderful pattern. I'm not even gonna make a pattern. I'm just gonna cut it thin, and then we'll trim it up. Could have just cut them both at the same time, I guess. Just trim that up a bit. Again, darn lighting in here is terrible. Okay, we'll do that. And then just cut this mess off. We'll just have a piece here that'll go on the inside of the quarters, and that'll stop the eyelets from ripping out on this piece of rubbish. Okay, so lining, we have this rubbish. Again, this is a bit of leftover stuff from the factory. It's over 30 years old. It's been kicking around in a box, and it's water damaged. But instead of throwing it in the bin, let's use this thing. I'll show you guys how I would go about this stuff. Again, lighting is terrible. Can't really do much about that, can I? So back when I was an apprentice, I actually spent a lot of time trying to make sure I got these sort of bag tops really right, because it can really make or break your pattern, your shoe, etc. So yeah, my bosses were really sort of keen for me to get the hang of this stuff. Oops. And I was keen to get a hang of it too, because you know, every sneaker that you see has this sort of top on it. When I was at school, they called it a bag top or bagging. Other cobblers I've met, shoemakers, pattern cutters, etc., have had different names for it. The one name I can remember is one guy called it a French top, which I thought was a bit extravagant, but anyway, French, whatever. But it's basically a line that you stitch inside out and then pull in the right way to just get a nice top. Alright, so one important thing to mark is your centre line. Just a white pen. And it doesn't hurt, especially for thicker linings. This lining is good because it has no thickness, but it has a sponge, so it has body, but you can just bash it down and it has no impact. But if you were going to make this lining out of leather, putting a couple of chevrons in the bottom is going to help it fold over underneath the last a lot better and just shape itself a lot better. Okay, so that's it. Lining, internals, leather. I do have to put a mark because my pattern has a mark for a sponge, and this is going to be a style stitch on the outside, so we need to mark it. Can't see what I'm doing with this light. Anyway, that'll do. Nice big window. Cut that out. The other thing that I'm not going to bother making is a heel counter. Basically because I don't have any material. I don't have any thermoplastic counter material. When I make proper shoes, I'm going to 3D print the heel counters, so I'll be basically having the equivalent of a pre-molded heel counter, and you know, that'll just be easy to do here without any tooling or whatnot. It'll also allow me to make stronger counters. My one big disappointment with the thermoplastic counters is they're all made of cardboard, so they break down really quickly and they don't offer a lot of rigidity. Where if I 3D print some ABS ones, I can make them that hard, which is at least what I want for a heel counter. Alright, so skiving. This is a really easy one, so I don't really have to skive it at all because the material is so thin. But for the sake of completeness, I'll just give it a bit of a... Yeah, this is not going to look fun. Maybe I won't skive it. It's not blunt. Knife's probably blunt. This material is soft, so thin, so the less I can skive, the better. And I don't actually want to skive so much off that I get too close to the change in fibre for the upper layer of skin. Because if I skive it too much, it's gonna have no material to actually. It's going to compromise the strength of the material, is what I'm trying to say. So, for this leather particularly, skiving is pretty much just a formality. But it will make the underlay look and sit a lot better, which is why I'm going to bother. I've got a proper skiving knife over there that I used to use in the factory for heel counters and whatnot, but it needs a good sharpen. I'm just out of practice. So I'm not going to bother with it. This will do for this one. But yeah, anyway, that will do. It's all going to be underneath, nobody's going to see it. The important part is that I get the pattern right and stitch it together accurately, so I've got these prick marks where I'll line up that and I'll line up that. And that should fit just like that, really. And you want to be able to cover the things, and you want the feather line here to stay nice and flush, because that helps with the character of it. And even though this material is stretchy and whatnot, if I follow the procedure, it should come together pretty nicely, despite the slop. You always got to calculate for the slop. Alright, so I'll just hack out a bit of sponge and we'll be back in we'll stitch this thing together. I'll show you a trick for the top lines.